How's it going, people? I hope you're all well. I was going to say good morning, but it's actually good afternoon. Um, I don't know how I'm feeling, if I'm honest with you, but I hope you're all well. Welcome to Football's 12th Man. As ever, I'm your host, Dan Potts, and I thought who better to bring on a day like this than Chelsea fan and good friend Matisse. How are you, bro?
Very, very good. Very good. I always enjoy these last gasp winners, these last gasp almost like stolen transfers. Do you know what I mean? It's beautiful. So yeah, I'm good. I think we'll get into it, but we need this player more than you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we needed this as the fan base because we've been waiting on a signing as well. So desperately needed.
Well, I mean, listen, we'll go into it because last night the news broke. We did a show and then talked a little bit about it, but luckily we didn't go in too hard about where he was going, Raphinha. But as soon as we come offline, it was like, it looks like Chelsea might be sniffing around him. And then excuse the pun, but it come out the blue to me. Um, Chelsea
It
wanted
didn't. It
him,
didn't
and
for me though. Do you remember on our show?
yeah, I remember. I remember
I was
you
like
saying
Potts
so.
because I remember you being like, we're talking about Rafinha, and you were like, "Oh, to Arsenal." I was like, "Potts, be careful. It's not done yet."
Well, it looks like your favourites now, bro. And I wanted to ask you because obviously you say you want him. Is a player I think is a player you need personally
Yeah.
as well. I look at your front line and think that it needs a lot of surgery. So before we go into the banter about Arsenal and Chelsea nicking players off each other, and more likely Chelsea nicking them off Arsenal of late, what what do you make of the player and why do you think he'd fit into Chelsea, mate? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the player. Really, really like the player because if you look at his trajectory, he's kind of gone upwards very sharply. I spoke to Connor about this on One Leeds channel, and last two seasons for Leeds, he's been really good. Now, obviously, last season, people will look at his statistics and be like, "Where was he in respects to the season before?" But you have to remember, Leeds had injuries to Phillips, to Cooper, to Bamford. Bielsa had them wide open. They were conceding goals for fun. They didn't want to defend. They wanted to get relegated, if anything. And then they had to make the managerial change. So it wasn't easy for him to be literally carrying that team on his back from a creative standpoint and a goal scoring standpoint. And still statistically, he did pretty well. So I'm very excited. Now, I do have a couple of question marks, not really about the player, but more so about how Tuchel's going to use the player. And I didn't really
Mm.
get that across in my video yesterday because I was so excited. And obviously, I was having a lot of fun with Arsenal fans. Video that I did on with Connor there, where all the Arsenal fans flooded into my mentions. They were like, "Thanks, Matisse, for the analysis. Thanks for the scouting report." That
Oh
flew up by like
no.
an extra 5K views, and then Chelsea fans are in there now bantering, which is brilliant. So we balanced out the spectrum there. But yeah, I'm excited about the player. He's quick, skillful, but he also is a little bit industrious as well. And fitness wise, you can rely upon him. And that's from obviously working in the Bielsa system, tracking back, having to work hard. And he's Premier League proven as well. So kind of everything that our recent signings in the forward line have not been. So I look at him as like an upgrade to Ziyech. I was kind of debating this on the TL yesterday, but I look at him as a player that can actually go past players. And people say, "Oh, dribbles completed," but when they look at the statistic for dribbles completed, I don't know if they're taking that from actual take-ons and going past players, or they're just saying that you've completed a dribble, which is what is that? What is completing a dribble? Are you actually going past the man? Because when I look at Ziyech, he doesn't go past players. Do you see what I'm saying? He doesn't have the pace. He kind of like is a player that receives the ball, standing start, gets his head up, picks the pass, or he wants to do something on the ball in that fashion. But Rafinha can actually go past players. Same with Reece James, really good for dribbles completed. But I wouldn't say he's going to fly past players. He's not got the speed to do that. So I think it's just a different type of player that we needed desperately to actually go past players and take players on. I seen him and Mane had like top 100 plus take-ons and 100 plus chances created. I think Squawker tweeted that out in the last couple seasons. There were only two players to have that. So I'm excited, but Tuchel has to use him correctly. He can't. I don't want to see him at wing back. I've seen a report from David Ornstein that he could play wing back and be on the touchline and then be pushed into right wing and then the back four shuffles across, which tactically I can understand. But I would prefer him in the front three and I want him to play on the flank if possible because all of his heat map last season is on the touchline, taking and isolating fullbacks and then coming inside and being dangerous that way. So if you start, I guess, veering away from that, I think he's adaptable, more adaptable than Ziyech, but let's play to the player's strengths.
Yeah, man, I'm with you, man. You've got some comments in here talking about Chelsea's new wing back and Matisse, is he being used as a wing back? Like, I
Mm.
want to talk a little bit about that because I just don't see that happening, bro. I really don't. Like, I think Reece James and Ben Chilwell, two players that I look at and think they're sorted, they're done. Like that, they're set in stone. As long as Chilwell's fit, that is, they're set in stone because.
Mm.
For me, they're so important as to how you play and how Tuchel wants to play. And I think Reece James, honestly, is one of the best fullbacks in the league. Like, period.
Yeah.
I think he's class, right? I look at Ben Chilwell and think what he did at Leicester and what he did do at Chelsea. He was actually a lot better defensively than I actually thought, give him credit for. I know he's
Mm.
got injured for most of last season, but when we did see him at Chelsea, I thought, actually, he's been all right defensively, you know, because I really questioned that when he was at Leicester and when you signed for, I think it was 50 million. I thought, okay, going forward, what can he do going back? Actually, I think he'd been okay. So I'm not so sure
Yeah.
that a wing back is an option for Rafinha. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And also, this player for me, I think has a little bit of a similarity to the tenacity of a player like Alexis Sanchez, which is why I was really, really excited about him coming to Arsenal because
Mm.
I don't think we've had a player like that. I think Gabriel Martinelli, people try to link to Alexis Sanchez, and I think there's some attributes that are, but I think with Martinelli at times he's a little bit rash and a little bit raw. Maybe he was a Sanchez when Sanchez was back at Udinese, but I look at Raphinha and think he could light it up for Chelsea. So you're obviously excited, and I get why. But I wanted to see
Mm.
your thoughts on the wing back situation first, and then we'll go into a bit of how you might have known this might have been happening without the Arsenal fans knowing. So, what's your
um,
thoughts on the wing back thing, man?
when I think David Ornstein was the first one to report it. When I initially read it, I said, "What the actual fuck are you doing? Like, why?" Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm thinking he's used Hudson-Odoi at wing back. He's used Pulisic at wing. Well, by the way, I'm not advocating for this. I'm not advocating for this, but I'm just kind of explaining the
Yeah,
logic behind it. He's used Pulisic in that role. He's used Hudson-Odoi in that role, and he's also said at times that Reece James, he doesn't always want to play him at wing back because of the injury concerns, and he wants to look after him, so to speak. Now, my preference would be switching to the back four and Reece James going to right back, and then it's the best of both worlds. Yes, he's a great defender and he can play right side centre back, but he can also be brilliant going forward. So he plays right back, and he's not as tasked with a massive responsibility to go up and down from an athletic standpoint. But if you're not doing that and you're sticking with the formation, which I have an inkling that he will do most of the time because of Thiago Silva, the age, etc., then you're looking at a situation where Reece James goes to right side centre back at times, comes out to right back, or steps forward as the right side centre back into midfield, which is, you know, it's a progressive position in the team. And Raphinha is the right wing back who steps into right wing and operates on the touchline where he's best heat map wise, instead of in that tucked in 10 position where Mason Mount plays. Now, for me, the solution is you know, if you're worried about the defense and you want to have that pivot, then why have we not really looked at a 4-2-3-1? You're still getting that protection with the pivot, but again, Thiago Silva in a back four with his age, do you really want him running out into the channels, etc.? So there's an argument to be made that he wouldn't play in the back four as much as he would in the back three. Hence why we need, maybe he's looking at De Ligt, he's looking at Koulibaly, etc. So there's a whole heap, still more restructuring to do in the team before I can pencil down the best formation, because we don't know who we're going to sign, who we're going to let go. But that's where the logic comes from with Rafinha, is that he's very industrious. He obviously works extremely hard. He's very skillful. He's good 1v1 on the touchline. And that's something that you could say, if you have an overload, say, so to speak, we build up down the left, for example, and we have an overload, Rafinha is free on the right, he's got acres of space to maneuver in. Whereas if he's in the tucked in 10 position, it's a little bit more congested. He also wants that tucked in 10 position. He's had Mount there. I have a suspicion he might use Gallagher there as well, funnel back into midfield. He likes his one of his inside wingers to funnel into midfield and make it a 3, have an overload, get into the half spaces, etc. I don't think Gallagher suits all of those traits that he's going to ask for in that position, but he can definitely do some of it. He's an extremely hard worker. He can score goals. He's good at counter pressing. He's played in that 10/8 position for Palace. So it's a bit all over the place. I don't really know exactly what he's going to do with Raphinha, but I definitely feel like Raphinha is more adaptable than Ziyech, because Ziyech he just doesn't have the same intensity on a consistent level. He can have it at times. He can be quite aggressive at times. And when he is aggressive off the ball, that's when he's best, because then on the ball, he seems to move a lot quicker. He's less nonchalant. However, that's not Tuchel signing as well. That's Lampard signing. So I just see it as a Ziyech upgrade. Hopefully, he's playing in the front three. I expect him to play in the front three. However, I think at times he will probably be at wing back. Unless we get another wing back in, like a Klaus. We was linked with Jonathan Klaus from Lens. Really, really seems to be a very good player, very important for their creativity. Hope we get him because he's available for very cheap. It would be a very smart, shrewd signing, but that would have to happen before I would be a little bit more comfortable. Because right now, we can't use Azpilicueta out there again next season. It hampers the team way too much.
Is he staying now, Azpilicueta?
Um, I think Azpilicueta's future is very 50-50 because if we bring in the two centre backs that we need, then you could make an argument and a case that he could go because we've got Dujon Sterling, who could be your third choice. You've obviously got Raphinha and you've got Reece James. So you've got enough options over at that wing back spot, so to speak. But I would prefer to bring in Klaus. And obviously Sterling's played in the back three as well in preseason last season. So he becomes depth. And Purdue, that's another back three option as well. So if you bring in the two centre backs and you've got these other options I've mentioned, and I don't see why Azpilicueta needs to stay. The only way I see Azpilicueta staying is if we don't get the centre backs that we need to get, and he doesn't want to go into the season light and he wants experience in the back line, then he ends up staying. But I'm pretty sure he wants to leave, and I'd prefer that for someone that's given that much service to the club, you just let them do what they want. It's the same with Petr Cech, same with Fabregas, same with Giroud. Them type of players, I would rather them be happy than we keep them against their will because we're got our own problems. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, fair play, bro. Listen, I want to get into a little bit of the Twitter meltdown soon about Arsenal, but first of
Oh,
all, I wanted
please.
to. I'll let you, man. I will let you. You know what I'm like, bro. It's hard. Do you know what? It's hard for you to roast me because I'm not one that was doing it.
No, you
However,
can't.
there's many people that were doing it. Many that I know on Twitter. But we're gonna get onto that very soon because I know you've got something to say on it. But I want to ask you how you knew this was coming about because this for me was something that come a little bit more out the blue to you. You did say to me, hang on a minute, we might be well in for him, and I never saw anything before it. So, what was you hearing before yesterday night's news broke that you were in for Rafinha?
Yeah. I mean, I don't play the ITTK
No,
game
of course you don't. No,
because I don't think there's anything to get out of it. All you get is abuse if you get it wrong, and very little praise if you get it right for a few
agreed.
seconds.
We've all
So
been
for me,
there,
I
mate.
don't. Yeah, like I could DM people and find out little things, and but I don't put it public or anything. I just play games in that respect. But the reason why I knew this was not done for Arsenal is the way Arsenal fans were making it seem in my comment section is we signed him, we're the only team in for him, and I was just thinking to myself, this is a player that has been wanted by Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Chelsea, because before sanctions, Fabrizio reported that we were leading the race for this player. And obviously yourselves and Tottenham a little bit. Obviously, if they got relegated, 25 million would have been a snip. But even still, I just thought to myself, I didn't DM anyone, no contacts. For me, I just used my own logic. I was just like, this is a player in a position that 3-4 teams are looking at. Dembele's not signed a contract extension at Barcelona. They're not ruled out. We haven't signed a winger yet. We're not ruled out. Why would there not be a bidding war for this player that really would probably want Champions League? And I knew the pecking order was Barcelona, Chelsea, then Arsenal because of that Champions League football as well. And I just thought to myself, Chelsea, they're getting a bit messed around in Dembele negotiations because they're waiting for him to make a decision. Sterling is obviously one option, but that's not enough. Richarlison, there is links, but at the same time, Tottenham are very, very keen on him as well. And I just said to myself, Raphinha has not been mentioned in a while, and it's a player that I think suits a replacement for Ziyech pretty well. He stands for everything that we're trying to do in attack in terms of the work rate, but then the quality, hopefully adaptability as well. And I just thought, I don't think Arsenal are going to get this deal done as quickly or as comfortably as they think they are. And there will be bids and there will be a bidding war. And I knew that Deco is his agent as well. And he's obviously a former Chelsea and Barcelona player. And I just thought, yeah, I'm going to make this video on everything you need to know about Raphinha. And I'm going to let Arsenal fans run their banter. But I am pretty damn sure that Chelsea are going to do something with this one because I know that Dembele, his concerns about injuries are a big problem for him in terms of like everybody being comfortable with signing him on 300k a week on a 5-year deal. We've been burnt before with injuries with Ziyech, with Pulisic, with Hudson-Odoi. I know Chelsea are going to look for an industrious, Premier League proven player. And what you're looking at in Sterling, Richarlison and Raphinha is 3 players that fitness-wise are consistent. They've got the Premier League, stats to prove it. And they're all individuals that you would hope or you can see don't really have an ego as well, which we're trying to get away from after what happened last year. they're going to work hard for the team, but they've also got different traits and quality to bring as well. So for me, it was just a little bit of logic. And I knew Arsenal fans were getting ahead of themselves, in my opinion, because it was a lot of money to pay for Raphinha as well, considering that you guys were talking about, you've got Saka out there for depth. It felt like a lot of money. So I had a little feeling we were coming.
Listen, let's go into it, man. Last night we bantered about it and said that, Arsenal fans are getting ahead of themselves. They're gassing up Rafinha. I've seen infographics. I've seen graphics of him in Arsenal shirts. I've seen stats.
Yes.
I've seen names, ages of these players, all these players, including Martinez, including Tielemans, 2 players that we haven't signed yet either. Arsenal fans do like to get ahead of themselves, man. So go for it, Matisse. This is going to be a hard part for me, but I'll let you enjoy the moment. Why is it so? Why is it so nice for you that this has happened? Not just because obviously Chelsea have signed someone, but of course you can give a little bit of banter and stick to the Arsenal fans that were getting excited.
Listen, do you know what? Yeah, because this is kind of 1-1. Because Gabriel Jesus is a player I really like, and my club never really went in for him properly and put a bid on the table. Maybe because Lukaku wasn't done and he wasn't gone yet. I don't know. But we were linked with him as well. And obviously Arsenal got him. And I was like, not really happy about that. So this was like an equalizer for me. Do you know what I mean? And I was very happy to see it, especially with the edits. It was just done all too soon. The edits, the comps, the kits, everything. And I was just like, this is beautiful. And obviously me and the Arsenal fan base, we have a love-hate relationship. I feel like they love me because I have expectations for their club. And I actually put them on a pedestal probably higher than what they've even seen, some of them. However, they also hate me because, I'm harsh on them. I don't really give them too much praise very often about their manager or about their signings, because at the end of the day, even though I'm happy about Rafinha, like I said, I've given you a couple of reservations. I'm also this is not a trophy. Do you know what I'm saying? No signing is a trophy at the end of the day. It's not an achievement. It's something that you put together in the hope that you will achieve something. So we'll see what actually happens with the signing and how our season goes. But Arsenal, fans feel like they're in the race for top 4 with us, and I would hope that isn't the case. So this is a little one-up, because if I'm being completely honest, if Rafinha had gone to Arsenal, I would have been bricking it a little bit, considering that we haven't done anything, and then they've gone and signed 2 talented players that I rate, that I think suit their system perfectly, give them depth, give them quality, give them versatility. I wouldn't have been feeling that. Then people ask me, am I worried about Arsenal? I would be saying yes, because I'd be like, I know they're not finished with their business and they've signed 2 players that I like. So we needed this one.
No, I think it's fair, and I understand why opposing fans find it funny, because Arsenal fans, unfortunately, mate, they have a little bit of they embarrass themselves sometimes, man, on Twitter and on social media, and I think it was another example of that. It's one of those.
It happens to us all, though. I did it with Lukaku. You saw the video.
Yeah, I did.
I'm not doing that this summer, though. You clocked. I'm not putting out no content. I'm not giving Skullfuggery no content. It's not happening. I done it last summer.
And do you know what? Right, I'll give you this. Right, this is a typical, and you're right. It does happen with other fans. It's just embarrassing when it happens to your own, isn't it? But when you look at it, I had put something out yesterday, not on social media, but within a WhatsApp group, because I thought I'm not going to post this. I just can't be dealing with a being told that I'll be negative if I do it. But everybody 2 days ago, Rafinha, what a player. Arsenal can't believe Edu and Arteta have got this one over the line. This one's a fantastic one. This is going to take us to the next level. This is the X factor we need. This is exciting. This will take us to competition with Saka and Smith Rowe. It's going to be amazing. Then Chelsea come in and look to be snatching him off of us. And all of a sudden, I didn't want him anyway. He's overpriced. He's not really what we wanted. It was just a player that would have been all right. We would have probably, Saka would have been a much better option anyway. He wouldn't have played. I can't understand that. Like, for me, it's disappointing, because I think it's a big shame. That one actually excited me more than Gabriel Jesus, Matisse, because I feel like this player has got that little bit of X factor or spark about him. I see him at Leeds and just think, wait, you are way too good. You're definitely suited to this league, but you're way too good for Leeds. Yeah. So I was one who was actually really disappointed by it. But when you go on social media now, all these Arsenal fans are saying we don't want him. If he doesn't want to come to Arsenal, let him go to Chelsea. Who cares? We don't need him. And I just don't understand that mentality, because 24 hours ago, they were lapping this signing up. This was going to be an amazing signing.
He would have, if Arsenal fans are worried about goals, which obviously Jesus, we spoke about it on my channel, 15 goals you'd expect. plus the other youngsters to continue to either up their metrics or at least keep them where they were, like Saka, Smith Rowe. Raphinha would have brought some goals to your team. Although I think Saka's been brilliant on the right, the idea that you all had about Saka moving to the left, Raphinha on the right, I think that's brilliant. You know, I do think Saka would still be. I remember Saka being on the left under Arteta. I don't know if it was the season before, but he was good. And Saka reminds me of like a Leroy Sané in a way where I think he's left-footed, but he can play both flanks because he's not afraid to go on his right side and do a cutback or even have a shot or whatever. It may not be as clean, but same with the left. I don't think he's one of these wingers that is like so one-dimensional where he only can cut in and score goals. Like he's more than happy to be chance creation. We've seen him at left wing back. We've seen him in left back. So he's more than comfortable to operate down that left-hand side. So I just think that would have been brilliant. It would have worked. Especially when I don't know what Marquinhos is going to be like. He's young, first season. Martinelli, I rate him, but he does need to pull up some more goals in his game. You know, he does need to put some more goals in the back of the net. So, yeah, I think, and I really did like Sané, and I do like Saka. I wanted Saka at Chelsea when his contract was running down. Not like that was ever going to happen. So yeah, I think it would have been a good buy for you, a very good buy. And people saying that we paid too much. Look, at the end of the day, the market is inflated. If you look at it, there are a few bargains going about, but he's not in the last year of his contract.
Agreed.
We're paying 55 apparently initially, and then it could rise to 65 on add-ons. So I don't think that's not a problem. Do you know
what makes me laugh, Matisse, when Arsenal fans say that he was massively overpriced? What, and Ben White wasn't, and Ramsdale was a lot of money. You know what I mean? Surely, like we would pay if we want this guy. We have to pay him. If that's the price for Rafinha, I think it is a fair price because I do think he's that good. I do think he's got high ceiling. 25 years old. Ready now. He's not one that needs 6 years to get ready. I think it's a good price. I really do. And if you can get him from between 50 to 65 million, I think that's a good signing. And let's be honest, we'll come on to it in a minute, but Chelsea aren't exactly skint. You know, people are making out that Chelsea got no money and Chelsea are now screwed because Roman's gone. But that's just not the case. So I'm going to put some questions up in a minute from the chat because I think they're all relevant. But I just want to get your kind of thoughts finally on how likely you think Raphinha is to join Chelsea, and if you think Arsenal are just completely out of it now and you don't see him, there being a chance of him joining Arsenal.
I do think it's very likely. I don't want to put a percentage on it because journalists that I was interviewing were telling me 95% Koundé, and now that Marina's gone, it's not even a Tuchel target. So I'm not going to say anything until it's done, but I do expect it to happen now because Barcelona can't afford him. They're also negotiating with Dembele to try and renew his contract, and Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal should play the bidding war game with us because we need him. You don't necessarily need him, and you've got other priorities. Like right now, you're fighting with Man United for Martinez. Now, in terms of priorities, you probably need to get Martinez more because it sounds like he can play in that DM role in a double pivot. You don't want him playing in that double pivot next to De Jong because they've got that experience from Ajax and, you know, under Ten Hag, they may be favourites to get him anyway because of that manager link. But if you want Martinez, you would expect that Arsenal would be prioritising their focus on getting Martinez to cover those positions that you desperately need to cover. So I do think it will be done now. And also, I think even if you were to match our bid, I think he would choose us. Like I said, I think the pecking order is Barcelona, Chelsea, then Arsenal because we have Champions League and you don't. So yeah, I think it's quite pretty much nailed on, to be honest.
Fair play. Let's whack some of these questions up to end the stream on. Let's start with this one. Chelsea needs Sterling. How likely is this one for you to be linked with him? And do you think that City would let him go, Matisse?
Yeah, I think this will get done as well. City are open to selling. I think Pep's happy to you know, he's got 1 year left on his contract. So, and he's rumoured to leave last summer as well. So I think, you know, we're in negotiations. We're going to put in our second bid. He wants to come back to London, apparently. Maybe a new challenge. And I think...
What sort of price?
I'm hoping around 45 million because he has got that 1 year left.
That'd be a great signing.
He's got 1 year left. I heard that our next bid would be 35 with 10 million add-ons. I'm hoping 45. Even if it's 45 with some add-ons, but hopefully around about 45, I think. My biggest issue or question mark would be his wages. And it's why I'm quite happy with Raphinha, even though I was excited about Dembele. Dembele's wages would have been through the roof. Raphinha's, I think, apparently around about going to be maybe 120k a week, which is starting to get back to that Liverpool model that we're trying to replicate, which is giving people wages that are not ridiculously stupid. Like We signed Werner from Leipzig. He was on 120 at Leipzig, and we put him on 270. We signed Chilwell from Leicester. I don't know what he was on, but he wasn't on 190, or probably not even anywhere near probably 100. He probably was on less than 100. We put him on 190. The only ones that made sense was Lukaku because of his age and what he's done in the game. Kante, cool, but Kepa, Saul on loan. Loftus-Cheek, we got some people on some stupid wages that they shouldn't be on, and we need to correct that. So this is the start of that. Raphinha being on 120 and taking Werner off the books, taking Lukaku off the books. That's about 550k gone. Ziyech is on 100. I don't really rate Ziyech particularly massively highly. I think he's had a decent season though, so it's a bit unfortunate for him that he may be going. But yeah, we need to correct the wage bill, so we're getting there. Hudson-Odoi is on, I think, 120, and he should not really be on that. I think we got pressured into that because of the Bayern Munich interest. So yeah, we just got to correct our wage structure. So
fair play. Gonna bring this one up because a lot of people are saying, Chelsea in the mud now, Roman's gone. But actually, this guy's come in and it looks like the takeover could be interesting. Now, if you are gonna get these players, I mean, we're hearing De Ligt, Sterling, Raphinha, Richarlison. That's gonna be a much better squad, in my opinion. Like, much better side.
As long as Tuchel uses them correctly, then yeah, 100%. I love this notion about Chelsea in the mud, Roman's gone, all this nonsense. Like, I honestly don't think people have been paying attention to what we've been doing in the last 5 years under Roman. Like, take that Champions League out of it, which is kind of just like a Chelsea thing, if you want to put it as that. Saka manager, like we did with VS Boas, bring in Di Matteo, win the Champions League. Saka manager, bring in Tuchel, win the Champions League. It's a Chelsea thing, right? It's Chelsea tax. But outside of that, we finished 5th under Conte, 3rd under Sarri, 4th under Lampard, 4th under Tuchel when you had that couple of months. Last season, 3rd. What do you mean in the mud? Where are we not in the mud already? Do you know what I mean? Like, where do you want us to fall to? Like, this is the mud, is it not? For me, the mud is not competing for the Premier League. That is the mud. If you're not even coming into a season saying that you can compete, which is how I feel right now, that's the mud. I know I don't know if Arsenal think that coming into the Champions League is some sort of holy grail, because maybe that's what Wenger said, but it's not. Like, yeah, you're in it, but I'm here to win trophies. So at the end of the day, we are already in the mud, in my opinion. So I don't really know where we're falling from. When Roman took over, we were a top 4 team. We had qualified for the Champions League. We'd won a couple FA Cups, and we had a decent little bit of European pedigree with some Cup Winners' Cups, UEFA Cup, whatever you want to call it. And then he came in and turned us from top 4 team to Premier League champions. We're currently a top 4 team, and the new owner that's coming in is not going to splash the cash. By the way, that's a good thing. Look at Manchester United. They splashed the cash in a crazy way. They have not won the Premier League since Ferguson. We splashing the cash with a new owner like Roman, maybe, that's not necessarily going to guarantee success. So when you're looking at football these days, you need a director of football, you need structure, you need a philosophy, you need a clear way of playing, you need a clear way of scouting. And this guy that we've just brought in wants to do all of that. We've got rid of Marino. Check's gone. There's no sentimentality. There's no like, oh, he's a legend. We have to keep him, keep the Chelsea fans happy. There's none of that nonsense, which could have happened if we had other owners. Hence why I was outside protesting. Do you know what I'm saying, on the streets? Because this is the only real option that in the end actually looked good, because he wants to set up in the Liverpool model. And really the Liverpool model, unless you have ridiculous amount of money from Man City or Newcastle's perspective, which we never realistically was going to get. We thought we were getting Saudi owners. Turns out they weren't even the real deal Saudis. They were Sheffield United Saudis. Do you know what I'm saying? So unless you're going to be absolutely truckload rolling in the money, and even then you still have to be intelligent, because Man City have a lot of money, but they still have a sporting director. They still spend the money wisely. They don't sign flops. Do you know what I mean? So no matter whether you have a lot of money or you don't, you have to spend it correctly. So I'd rather do what he's doing, which is the right way. And look at, he's so hands-on. Like, he's literally an intermediate sporting director at the moment. He has no idea what he's doing, because he's not in the sport. He's from baseball. He's from the LA Dodgers. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just ringing people up like the old-fashioned way and saying, how much do you want for him? What's the asking price? Is he available? Like, bro, it's almost like, because he doesn't know about the sport and he doesn't know a lot about maybe, of course he knows a lot about the role because he's used to trading players in baseball, but because he doesn't know about the players and he's kind of just going off what we've already scouted and what Tuchel wants, he's almost like a kid in a candy store. He's naive, but in a good way, because
Mm,
he's so willing to get shit done. He's not overthinking anything. He's just saying, we need players. We need to get rid of players. So I'm gonna make calls and we're gonna get it done. Do you know what I mean? And
mm,
he's not doing 1 + 1 = 10, which is what Marino and Czech do sometimes when they wanted to make their money back on players and they wanted to negotiate this and that and just prolong everything into the window. He's just moving snappy. So I'm happy, man. He's doing the business, and we're linked with Edwards. If we get Edwards, whew, rah, you better bring me back on.
I will do, man. You'll be coming on a lot, bro. I'll tell you that. This one's quick. Is it true that Bodie's going to be giving Tuchel 200 million this year? Is that true?
I hear this 200 million figure every year. I mean, I don't really care
So
if
do
we
I.
spend I don't really care if we spend 190, 200, 210. I don't really care about that. I just want positions filled. I think too many times, and this is mainly because of journalism and articles, they say, "Oh, war chest, 200 million this summer." I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
if we spend 100 million on a centre back and 100 million on a striker, that's a shit window because we didn't address all of our issues. If we spend 7.5 million on Jonathan Klaus and he's a right wing back, and we spend 150 million in total, say net, because we've addressed all 6 positions, I'll be happier. So I don't really care about how much we spend, more that we buy the right players and we fill all the positions we need to fill and we get rid of the players we need to get out. So I don't know how much money he's got. I don't think it's not like, oh, we're going to get to 200 million and just stop spending, or we're going to have to spend up until 200 million. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a fluid budget. It's like, how much is he? Cool. Can we afford that? Yes or no? But I think it's fluid because we got a lot of players to get rid of as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Last few in here. Let's take a look at this one from Knuckles. Big up yourself, Knuckles. From Matisse, how do you see Arsenal and Chelsea doing next season if we both get the players that we're linked with?
I think the best Chelsea can hope for is third position, which is currently what people pip Tottenham to take right now due to their signings. So the best we're aiming for is third, in my opinion, because we're doing a bit of an overhaul. We're not improving the team, in my opinion. We're reshaping the team and evolving in a sense.
Getting
'Cause we've
ready to
got
go again, like, yeah.
yeah, because we've got some players that are about to drop off. We've lost a lot of centre backs, so I'm not getting ahead of myself. We're not improving. We're evolving, in my opinion. So I'd say third, win the cups. Go to both of the finals again at Wembley and try and win them this time. Go find the Champions League. And then to be honest, we're going to be either third comfortably or top 4 fight again, like we have over the years. And it all depends on the signings. So until the window's over, I don't know. And I know you're saying based on who we're linked with, but we're linked with everybody. So
Yeah.
I can't base it on that because we're linked with everyone. But we'll see what happens, and then I'll give a prediction. With Arsenal again, top 4. You're aiming for top 4, and that's that. I think again, it's Arteta. It's all about Arteta. He's got to juggle Europa League football with top 4. He seems like he's going to have a bigger squad, more depth. But do I rate Arteta the same way I rate Tuchel, Conte, even Ten Hag? The answer is no. So he's at a deficit already, in my opinion, in terms of actual managerial ability. So that's why I don't think you're going to make it. But if you do make all the signings that you need to in terms of rectifying all the positions, then you could. But I wouldn't bet on you two from the managerial standpoint because I don't rate him highly. I think he's just average to good at best. But we'll see. You're
I
in the
think
race.
that's fair, bro. I think that's fair. If you do get both, I think he means Rafinha and Sterling. Are you favourites for third? Because a lot of people, including myself, said that Tottenham will get third this season because of Conte and what he's done. If he does get backed, which we've seen him starting to sign a few players, depending on what happens there, I do believe there's a couple more they obviously need. But I still fancy Spurs in terms of their front three to do the damage and get third place. So if you was to get those signings, do you think that you would get third ahead of them or ahead of anyone?
I think I don't think those 2 signings guarantee us or make us favourites for third. Also, we need defenders, we need a midfielder, we need a wing back, in my opinion. So the team would be imbalanced. So no, I don't think it makes us favourites. It's like 2 in, 2 out situation. So yeah, it doesn't make us favourites. And to be honest, Tottenham's team is good as well. Depth wise is where they're going to have a problem, but again, we'll see. What it depends on who else they bring in. But I mean, I don't celebrate top four and I don't celebrate third. Do you know what I mean? If we're
Why
not
would you, mate?
if
Why
we're not
would you?
winning if we're not winning the league, then which we're not, in my opinion, then I don't really care whether we finish third,
It's just
fourth.
about getting
I'm
a trophy, innit? Do you know what I mean?
I'm more interested in the points tally. Like if we finish fourth on 80 points, which is unrealistic because that's not usually the points tally it takes. But say the top four break away from everybody, and we finish on 80 points or 81 points in fourth because everybody just broke away, or we finish third on 69 points. I'm taking the fourth with the more
Okay.
points because I see it as a points thing. I want to see the points go up back into the 80s, low 80s even, but close the gap to the top two. And as long as we
That's
do that,
interesting.
then I'll be happy. I don't really care about position because I always use this example when Man United finished second behind Man City, when Liverpool dropped off because of the injuries, they were well off Man City. They must be like 18 points behind them or something. That's not the same as when Liverpool last season finished a point behind. Same position, different points, so completely different season, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, that is a very interesting one. We've got two more, one Arsenal related, but we'll do this one just before that. Boys, what's your top four for next season? That's going to be very difficult now because we
Yeah.
don't know what's happening in this window, but we'll go for it anyway. In what we are thinking right now, like if you had to pick a top four and a Gantier, who would you go for, Matisse?
Um, at the moment, same top four as last season, purely because Conte is here for the now. Seasons show that he's here for the now, whereas Ten Hag is more here for the long term. It's going to take him some time to set in his style of play. I don't think his team is going to mirror his vision immediately. I think it's going to take a few transfer windows before that happens because it sounds like they were shit scared of a 6 signing, 7 signing, 8 signing window, which is what Ralph Rangnick proposed. And that tells me that they don't understand the sheer amount of change that they need at their football club. So De Jong is going to be a great signing. This new left back from Feyenoord I watched in the Conference League going to be a great signing, but they need more. So if they're only going to do a couple of things or 1, 2, 3 things, then it's going to take time for that style of play anyway. And then I think they may just miss out. So at the moment, like I said, I can't predict it until the transfer window is over. But if you're asking me right now, I'd just go with the same top four, to be honest.
I agree. I agree. I think it will be Tottenham in third, yourselves in fourth if I had to pick now, but obviously a lot could change. I don't see us getting into the top four. I really don't. Certainly not with the squad we've got now. If we were to get the players we're linked with, we might have an inkling, but we're relying again on Tottenham and Chelsea's collapse like they did last season. And I just don't know if that's going to happen again, if I'm honest with you. The last question of the night comes from Lee Farrell. Big up yourself, Lee. Haven't spoken to you for a long time, man. Regular listener to the same old Arsenal podcast from about 4 years ago, man. So we go back a long way. Dan, since Raphinha is going Chelsea now, can you see Arsenal going in to try and get Jared Bowen off of West Ham? I don't know that I do, if I'm honest, mate. I'm not so sure that that's a name that I would say that I've seen linked with Arsenal for a while. So I'll probably look at some elsewhere. I wouldn't surprise me if we were to try and sniff around a few names like Nabry again. Can't see that one happening due to wages. A lot of people are saying wages are an issue. I would probably look to try and go for somebody like Elise from Palace now, because I feel like he's got a huge ceiling and would probably come in and do similar to what Raphinha might have done, which is create, score goals, and for what he did at Palace, I think for his first season has been fantastic. So somebody like that, I'd be okay to sign. I don't see us going in with a Sterling already now made signing, but Jared Bowen's a good shout. And he would be someone I'd be interested in. Whether West Ham would sell him to us or not, I'm not so sure. So we'll have to see what happens there. Guys, big up yourself. Thanks so much for listening. I must say a huge thanks to Matisse, of course. Fair play to you, mate. You did call it, to be honest. You did say that Rafinha might be on his way to Chelsea, and it looks like that could be happening. And Arsenal fans now have to sit there and accept it. I want to say a huge thank you, mate, for coming on, bro. And I absolutely love your content. Big up yourself. Thanks for coming on. And how can people follow you, mate?
100, man. Pleasure as always. For me, guys, simple, MAH, 3 letters, YouTube. There's loads of content up there. London Club Carnage just went up with, Dan, both the Dans and Tobes as well. my breaking news video was shameless for sure. We're gonna find some sort of middle ground today at some point in the second upload. And Twitch is popping off. We just hit 5K on Twitch day yesterday, so Twitch is popping off. So if you want like streams and interactive live chat stuff, then Twitch is there. That's Matisse Armani. Same thing on your screen there. So yeah, that's about it.
Legend, man. Always a pleasure, bro. And always enjoy coming on your channel. Always love talking London Clubs Carnage. And there'll be a lot of content. Matisse will be joining us throughout the season on this channel. So please stay tuned. If you haven't done so already, smash a like on this video. Please. I know it only takes 2 seconds, but it really does mean a lot to me, particularly as I'm starting out. This is only my 11th Full Talk video. So we're doing good. We're heading on our way to 3K now already. So that's really good stuff, guys. Much appreciate you supporting the channel. And you're going to have to get used to Matisse and some of the other influencers that are going to be coming on throughout the season. Because trust me, it's going to get very heated and very fun. Until then, take it easy and up the Arsenal. Take care, guys.